It's that time of the week again. It's time for Nick at Night, our non-spoiler discussion of the books we picked up on August 11th, 2021. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. So, Nick at Nighttime, non-spoiler discussion, August 11th books, 2021. Yeah, so I'm going to go over some of the main highlights, some of the things I liked, what I didn't like, never major plot points. So if you haven't read these books yet, you should be fine to watch this video. So as always, let's go into the big two. And I think I have my books out of order, so this will be fun. So I'm going to start with Batman 89, 1 of 6 by Ham. What's his name? Sam Ham. Awesome. Sam Ham. So this is the Tim Burton universe. It's kind of a continuation of Batman and Batman Returns, right? So it's in that Batman Tim Burton realm. So that was really, really interesting. In fact, there's a lot of cool Easter eggs in this book, especially on page 2. On page 2, if you look around at all the characters, there's tons of characters from all different Burton films, which I thought was really cool. And I honestly, at the time, I was like, wow, this is really cool, but am I going to spend the whole rest of this book looking for like Easter eggs like that? But luckily, I didn't really notice that theme going forward, which is really, really good. I enjoyed the art, the story. Some of the action scenes are kind of like action scenes that we've seen before in other movies. So yeah, it was interesting. But essentially, we have our Two-Face character. We have Batman trying to do his thing. We have this like Joker gang who's attacking the city, and so all those things are trying to play out. And Two-Face, Harvey Dent, prior to being Two-Faced, Harvey Dent's kind of got this master plan to kind of take down Batman, to take down Jim Gordon. So, how does Bruce Wayne handle that as Bruce Wayne, knowing, that, he's trying to protect his identity and things like that. So it's interesting. It's a cool little Harvey Dent story. We get some cool Alfred moments in here, lots of good action, and we get a cool little cameo that some people were talking about as a first appearance towards the end. I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but yeah, check this out. If you're a fan of the Tim Burton Batman run, you need to be reading this book. It's really, really cool. Even if we're getting like 9 Batman books a week at this point, it's okay still. But because that one's really cool and it kind of pulls on your nostalgia heartstrings. So I recommend Batman 89. All right, moving on to Infinite Frontier. This is issue 4 of 6. Who's writing this? Is it Williams? Yes, it is Williams. So, Infinite Frontier, the start of a new crisis event. Lots of characters I don't know anything about. Lots of relationships I have no idea what's relevant about them or how they're connected or anything like that. But, so I really am not I'm not a very good reviewer of this series because I really don't understand a lot of the dynamics, a lot of the implications of the story, things like that. I do know Thomas Wayne, the, alternate universe Batman, is in the book, and I like all the scenes that he's in right now. We get some cool Black Lantern action in here. There is a lot of action in this story, but there's a lot of, there's a lot of moments in this book where it kind of relies on the relationship that they probably established in other issues, other runs in the past. And so they kind of rely on that relationship, and they rely on the reader to know what that would mean. And so it doesn't really do anything for me. So I read this book and I go, okay, cool. You know what I mean? So I think there's some really cool Batman stuff on its way, which excites me. But then again, we have another Batman-centric book. We get some double crosses towards the end, things like that. So, I mean, Infinite Frontier, I'm kind of muscling my way through it. I don't understand a lot of stuff that's going on. I'm just trying to read it so I have an idea what the heck's going on in DC, which is kind of a problem, but I'm just doing my best to kind of keep up, really. All right, going on to The Joker. This is issue number 6. James Tynion IV recently said he's going to write all the way to issue 14, I think it was. So we have several more issues of The Joker under the Tynion run still to go. This is a cool little issue. I like how they added a little bit more detail about who the Samson family. The Samson family has kind of been teased in other issues right now. They're kind of like this ultra rich family, and the Joker really kind of messed them up. And so, they're kind of out for their revenge. And we get a little history lesson on that family in general, which I thought was pretty interesting. But other than that, we're kind of catching up with Jim again. He's giving a little bit more context about his history and his wife and how he's kind of let her down for different things related to the Force, different cases and things like that he had to attend to instead of attending to his marriage and his family and stuff. So we get a little bit more dialogue about that. Jim's kind of searching around for the Joker. The Joker's escaped. He's trying to chase him down still. Doesn't quite know where he is. Oracle, Barbara trying to help him out, trying to give him some leads. They have some cool little moments on the phone and whatnot. It's just, and Jim's kind of reaching out to some old friends, old allies to kind of help him because he's just kind of at a dead end right now. So this issue, not a whole lot happens in this issue. Basically, we have Jim just trying to chase down Joker, and he's got a cold trail, and he kind of talks to some old friends and family, right, to try to elicit some help. So it was kind of a meh issue, but I feel like a lot of the Joker issues so far have been just pounding home the fact that Jim's never been there for his family. The Joker's really messed him up. He's absolutely obsessed with him. Things like that. You know what I mean? It's like every issue we get pounded in the head about that, and very little happens from issue to issue. But hey, James Tennant's managing to put together and to kind of like weave this really interesting story. And so, I keep reading it, and it's always interesting. It just never really seems to go very far every issue. So yeah, Joker 6, I think it's a cool run overall, but man, another 7 issues. I thought it was going to be a 6-issue run to begin with, maybe 12, but man, it's at least going to be 14 now. So we'll see. We'll see if it has legs, man. We'll see if it has legs. Moving on to Marvel, we have Daredevil 33, and I'm telling you what, when Chichetto's on the art, this book is way more enjoyable. You notice it from the very first page. You turn the first page, and you're like, this is why I fell in love with this specific Daredevil run. When it first started, this is issue 33. Things typically get stale when you have this many issues, right? And it really hasn't gotten stale too much unless he's off the art. I think it was Hawthorne? Something like that, kind of filled in here and there, and might be filling in the next issue too. You'd feel the absence, right, when he's off. So we get a little bit of an origin. We pick right back up with Elektra. She's actually fighting Bullseye right now. We get a little bit of an origin about how he kind of came back, which I thought was really interesting. And then we kind of touch base again with Daredevil. He's still in the prison. He was going to kind of confront the prison ward or whatever, and so things happened at the prison. Some messed up stuff happened at the prison, and Daredevil's kind of, he's kind of taken over. And so we kind of see to what extent there towards the end. But we have Cole coming back in. I think his name was Cole, right? That police officer that kind of took him down in the early beginnings of this run. Yeah, Cole North. And so he's kind of checking the place out, and he realizes how dangerous and how far Daredevil's gone in the prison. So very shocking last page in here. Very, very cool book overall. Chichetto is always a welcome addition to the book. So looking forward to that. Moving on to Defenders number 1. Got that Peach Momoko cover. And that's probably the best part about this book to me. So listen, I know a lot of people are Defender fans. This is probably the first Defender book I've ever read. I didn't really know what to expect. I assume this is Silver Surfer on the cover, and so I think I was right in here. But really, we have Doctor Strange doing his thing. He's kind of attacked, but he's attacked in a way that is more of like a guy asking for help, essentially. And Doctor Strange understands the threat at hand. It's kind of a gigantic universal threat, and so he has to put together this team. But he uses like tarot cards to assemble this team, and it assembles them in a random way. So he doesn't know who he's going to get, and it pulls them out of whatever they're currently doing and just kind of sucks them right into to Doctor Strange's living room. And they're like, what the heck's going on? And so he does all that. He assembles his team. I won't give away who's all in the team, but they get a little bit messed up on the timeline. They're kind of placed in a different reality right now, and they have a planetary threat that's literally taking over the planet as they land. So it's like, okay, we have to figure out all this stuff. So Defenders, I think it was interesting. It wasn't what I was expecting. And so we'll see. This might be a hot seat book. I'm interested to see what you guys thought about Defenders, especially if you haven't read it before. Is this par for the course for Defenders? Did they assemble their team randomly through tarot card readings? I don't know. A little weird, but it was not bad. Speaking of not bad, Spider-Man Spider Shadow, issue number 5. This is the last issue of this, and I thought it actually wrapped up well. I thought I knew where this story was going. I thought I did. I thought it was going to be like a Sinister Six or a Sinister, at whatever number, backing up and coming back in and kind of saving the day. Nope, totally wrong. I thought it was a pretty interesting conclusion to this. I think Peter had a really cool idea of how to handle a Reed Richards that's been infected by a symbiote, and all like the Avengers and all the other people that kind of came in to save the day, the X-Men Avenger teams, they were taken over too. There's a few heroes that were unaffected, and they had to figure out what the heck to do. And I thought it was a pretty creative way. I thought it was interesting about how they handled it. And then we get a really cool moment with Peter and Mary and Sue Storm at the very, very end here. And I know there's some what if books that kind of follow that up, which I thought was really cool. And then we get a cool like post-credit scene at the end with Wilson Fisk, which was pretty cool. And I'm wondering if they're actually going to continue this. I think it'd be kind of neat to see what he does with this, but it also kind of serves its purpose just being a 5-issue run. I think it was pretty interesting. I think Chip did a really good job with this book overall. I think it started fairly strong, and then in the middle, I think it was pretty strong the whole way. It was pretty even keel, I think. So Spider-Man, Spider Shadow, 5-issue series. I think it's a good little 5-issue series. So pick it up if you're into Spider-Man and into symbiotes and would like especially if you have like a lot of history with Spider-Man. I feel like if you read Spider-Man back in the 90s all the way through, and then you pick up something like this, you can pinpoint it about where this is taking place, and then maybe you'd appreciate it more. This is like one of the only Spider-Man runs I ever read, so I don't have all that backstory, but I think it was still really cool and enjoyable. So yeah, the art is okay. I think it kind of grows on you, but it never like blows you away. There's a few panels here and there that are really cool. But, I think the coloring is really good for the art. So, yeah, not too bad. Spider-Man, Spider Shadow. All right, we're going into Independence. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to start at the top here. I've been pulling from the bottom. We're going to go into Eve, number 4 from Boom Studios. Man, Eve is interesting. The way I always describe this one is it's kind of like The Matrix, right? We have this girl, Eve, who lives her whole life, presumably, and she's learning all these like survival things, right? One day she's kind of woken up from her pod, realizing that everything that she's ever known was a dream. The world is in shambles. Her father's missing, and he's planted this AI inside of this recognizable teddy bear kind of creature, a machine that's like self-replicating, not self-replicating, but self-healing, and it can repair itself and whatnot. And its job is to kind of reorient her and navigate her through this crazy world, right? So that was pretty cool premise. She kind of gets out of that pod, realizes what's going on, starts traveling. The bear's name is Wexley, and he kind of like protects her and things like that. Then we got a really, really interesting twist. We didn't really know an objective. She's just trying to like find civilization, I believe, in the first couple issues. Correct me if I'm wrong. We kind of understand what the objective is in this book because we have an introduction of another character. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's an introduction of another character that really blows open the whole story, in my opinion. So we got a really cool revelation about who this person is, what the main objective is, and we get some history on the robot and what its motives are and why it does what it does. And it's really kind of cool. And then we kind of get a little direction about where our Eve character is heading and what she needs to do. I think a lot actually happened. A lot was explained in this issue, and she was kind of pushed forward, and the story was pushed forward pretty well. I don't know how long the story is, but I feel like the story might be wrapping up soon. Just based on like the progression of the story and where she ends up at the end. It's like, how much longer could this story go? I don't know. Do we know how long Eve is going to be? We're 4 issues in. I'd say it's at least another 2 issues. But then you start running into what's the standard length for comic runs, right? Is it going to be a 6-issue run? It can't be 5. Is it going to be 6? Is it going to be 12? I don't know. Really, really cool book. This issue was very well done, I thought. It explained a whole lot, pushed the story forward. Art and coloring is great. And I really, really recommend Eve. The last issue I didn't like, but I think I liked it more when I got some of the explanation about why it happened in this book. So cool. Check out Eve if you're not checking it out. Moving to IDW. Canto, Lionhearted. This isn't the full title. Canto, Volume 3, Lionhearted, Issue number 2. Canto 3, Lionhearted 2. It's like something skilled in children, and we only find them when they're dead, or it's the last book you'll ever read, except Canto throws in volume numbers with issue numbers with subtitles. So this was again another cool action-packed Canto run. I'll show you a panel here, which I think is really cool. Canto versus the Kraken, mechanical Kraken. So I thought it was pretty interesting. So Canto is just trying to get some more resources, trying to figure out who can join the alliance against the Shrouded Man, getting some of the allies together, trying to do some traveling. Of course, they run into some issues. It's the same old stuff, right? He runs into a monster. The monster's has its own motivations. They talk it through. They both learn a valuable lesson, and they're both kind of on their way. That's essentially it. Canto learns what he needs to learn, and he kind of starts heading out. What I thought was more interesting was not the Canto part, was the Shrouded Man part. We get a little bit more about his motivations, about what kind of haunts him, some of his desires, some of the things that plague him, right? So I did like that part in this book a little bit more. And then we get these filler pages in the back. I'm not sure. I haven't counted the pages, but like, is that taking away from the actual issues or the actual pages we could have been getting? We get page after page after page of like, Star Wars previews and like alternate covers for the next issue and things like that. It's a lot, man. So I think it's an interesting book. I'm not sure. I still really, really enjoy Canto, but I feel like it's just kind of repeating itself over and over again. And it's still a really, really good read though. So if you have the opportunity to pick it up, I would pick it up. I feel like it would read really well as a trade. As a single issue, it's just like you just want more. You just want to finish the story. You know what I mean? You don't want to eat these little bites, these little encounters, and then you don't have it for another month. And then the next issue, you have this little encounter again. You learn a little bit more, and then it's gone for a month. So that's annoying about Canto, but it's always a good story. So hope that makes sense. Unbelievable Unteens, Jeff Lemire, Black Hammer universe. This is issue number 1. I've never read Black Hammer. I picked this one up because it was the number 1 Jeff Lemire, and then I realized it was part of the Black Hammer universe. This book reminds me a little bit. It's like a combination between, so what was it? Chip Zdarsky's crossover book. So take the meta-ness of Chip Zdarsky's crossover book, take parts of it, right? Combine that with Umbrella Academy, right? Just follow me here. And I think you're going to get a book like this. So essentially we have a comic book creator, female, who is at conventions and meeting fans and doing stuff, and she has deadlines to meet and issues to write and all sorts of stuff. And one of her creations comes and finds her, and the creation's like, "Hey, don't you remember me?" And she's like, "Of course I do. I created you." But no, she has a greater purpose, and so does this creation. And so it's his job to kind of remind her about her other purpose, right? So it was a lot of interesting dialogue between her and this creation she had. And so, yeah, so we get some interesting stuff. And she has, of course, towards the end, like you would predict, a revelation that he's actually right. She has some other purpose. And so I'm not gonna really go into it more than that, because if I did, I would spoil it. So it's an interesting book, The Unbelievable Unteens. Who is this? Jeff Lemire. So, yeah. And if you guys have read Black Hammer, where does this all fit? I mean, I think I understand now about like the other characters in this team and how they're kind of related and whatnot. But like, to get the full picture, do I have to be reading the other Black Hammer books? I don't know. Let me know. Bunny Mask. Number 3, Aftershock. We're dipping into the Aftershocks. We got 2 of them. Bunny Mask number 3. This is Tobin and Muty. This issue was a little bit more of an explainer issue, which was good because, where we left off, we have this Bunny Mask girl that just kind of pops in and she speaks really strangely and like these riddles almost. You never know what the heck she's talking about. And then our main character, he's having like all these voice hallucinations and things. It's talking to him constantly. It's kind of bringing up everyone's dark, dirty secrets. So he's walking through a crowd and there'll be speech bubbles everywhere. And it'll be like the most disgusting stuff you ever heard sometimes. Like, maybe like, oh, he's into whatever over here. And then she steals from the church every week. And then he's not really in love with her. And then this person over here is, used to be sober and has slipped up or something like that. You know what I mean? It's really kind of strange dialogue. And so it's him trying to come to grips with that, being reunited with the sheriff that was with him originally in the beginning of this whole story that kind of helped him and found him. And so the two of them kind of put their heads together and realize that they have a lot of things in common and they need to try to work through this. And so it's mostly all that. And of course, at the end, we get some more confusing stuff. I feel like this book is a good book. I feel like some of the questions they leave unanswered, and then some of the questions they answer from issue to issue aren't as impactful as they hoped they would be for me. So like for every question they answer, I'm just like, okay. But then you have 100 more unanswered questions still that just bother you, that you don't know the answer to. It's a book that bothers you that you don't have the answers. Some books are like really, really clever and they make it, they weave it perfectly. And I don't know if it's happening in this book for me. Let me know if that's how you're feeling in this book too. Like the last few pages, what the hell was all that about? I don't understand. And then, you know, when she intervenes, when Bunny Mask intervenes, I still don't really understand what's going on, but maybe I'm just stupid. That's entirely possible. Maybe I'm too stupid to get books like this, but I feel like other books handle mystery, unanswered questions, and small revelations better. But we'll see. We'll keep reading Bunny Mask and see where it goes. The other Aftershock book is Campisi. Campisi, right? The Dragon Incident. This is Aftershock. This is the number 1, the 100th title. That's the 100th title. Very, very, very cool. I haven't been reading a whole lot of Aftershock. I do pick up what I can, and where, you know, when it's a good jumping on point, but I definitely missed out on some really key series in the past, but I'm starting to dip in more and more. This is a really cool book. It has the coloring of like a Layla Starr. Here, I'll show you what I mean. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of dark colors in here. This might be a good picture. So like, just bear with me. All the purples and the blues and the way that they kind of blend together, and the highlights and the coloring and the whatever. I think it reminds me of like a Layla Starr. So that was the first thing I noticed. The second thing is it had a cool, compelling history lesson about the dragons, right? So there's dragons in this universe. Where are they, and why is one on the cover, presumably attacking a city? You learn that, right? And they have good reason. Our main character, what's his name? Sonny, something like that. He's interesting too. He kind of goes around. He's actually a guy that just knows everything about his city. He knows every person. He knows how they're doing. And it's his job to kind of take care of the riffraff in the city, right? The riffraff. Take care of any assholes. That's the number 1 thing on his list to do. That's what he says. And so, but he's kind of mixed, because not only does he have this job where he has to take care of people, but he also really cares for the city and cares for the people inside of it. So when he's been put up to the task to do something that he knows is, you know, maybe not too cool, or to somebody that he actually cares about, he really can't handle that. But unfortunately and fortunately, there's other people in his little group that are willing to kind of do the dirty deeds, right? So we get a little history lesson here. We get our dragon showing up. We get an understanding about why this dragon has shown up in this town. And I think it's in a really cool, compelling way. I love the art. I like the story progression. I like our main characters. Highly recommend this book. Highly recommend it. I like it better than Bunny Mask. That's probably the coolest thing Aftershock's doing right now. Silver Coin, issue number 5, Covenant, Michael Walsh. So we get an origin story of the coin, finally. And it's pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of We Don't Kill Spiders. If you guys read We Don't Kill Spiders the other week, I think it was Black Craven book. It was basically witches on their dying breath, you know, cursing the town and things like that. So we get some cool back in the day, like pilgrimage kind of time period, you know, whatever that is, if that's actually a thing. And we get a cool little understanding about this town, this girl in the town, and how she kind of helps out the different people in the area. And we get this traveler who comes in, and he kind of just messes everything up. He really, really messes everything up. And at the end, it's kind of like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing. The silver coin means something in the beginning. Its power kind of changes, or its meaning changes, and it becomes more of a cursed object, and then it gets lost. And then we have like a Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins kind of a moment at the end, where like, oh, it's kind of bouncing away, and then it's hidden, or, you know, and then one day it's found again, kind of a thing, right? So I thought it was a cool wrap up about the silver coin's origin. And I think it's going to be interesting to reread all these issues again. But this is issue 5. What the heck was issue 4 about? Issue 4 was that future issue. And it didn't make any sense at all. It didn't connect to anything. It didn't mean anything. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. And tell me how issue 4 connected with any of this stuff. I'd be really interested to tell. And at the end of this book, there's an advertisement for Silver Coin Volume 2, right? Yep. We have Walsh, Williamson, Ayala, Rosenberg, and Ram V. And it's high score. That's what it's called. So we will get a volume 2. I remember them posting on Instagram, I think before Silver Coin even came out. I remember a whole bunch of additional names. And then we all got confused when issue 5 came out and it was the last issue and we didn't see those writers. Well, apparently that's going to be volume 2. So look forward to volume 2. All right, moving on to Ordinary Gods Image. This is Higgins. This is issue number 2. We get some explanation in this book, finally, but it's still a little confusing. It's still a little confusing. So I came out of issue 1. I hope you guys read issue 1. Essentially, this is what you have. You have this world that was run by like these godlike figures, right? They decide to create some kind of a prison because they realized every time they killed each other, they would just resurrect, right? They were like super beings. They developed this prison system where they can grab these people and kind of put them in stasis in like another world. They end up on Earth as these characters, and then they essentially show up and they don't really know what's going on. And eventually they kind of remember, right? There's teams of them out there trying to like find each other and trying to make each other remember. But if they die again, they reset and they forget their memory. So it's just like this whole crazy thing, right? So basically these guys are trying to find their leaders on Earth and try to help them remember and then not have them get killed, right? So they can kind of band together and get back home. That's essentially, it's a very simple story. But we had a lot of weird character moments in the first issue. We had a lot of like weird, like all of a sudden betrayals within a family. We had a lot of things with the main character. He didn't quite know what was going on, and we didn't know what was going on. So this issue here is an issue that catches you all up. Our main character wakes up. He's surrounded by the people that kind of rescued him, and he's got tons of questions. Why did my sister attack me? What happened to my parents? Who are you people? Why are we in this secret base? Who's this floating ghost guy, right? So we have all these questions, and so this is a gigantic explainer issue, and it was really needed to kind of help push the story forward. And we get a lot of cool revelations about this guy's past life and the different past lives that he's probably had, right? And so I thought it was pretty good. I think I need to reread issue number 1 and read issue 2 again just to kind of solidify my understanding of this book. But I thought it was really interesting. And I think they're doing a lot of cool things in here. So I don't want to give it away other than it is a confusing issue number 1. You're not meant to know everything because in issue number 2, they explain a lot of it, and they explain so much it's probably worth a second read right after issue 1. So I'm probably going to go back and read both of them back to back so I can really kind of get a grip of what's happening here, because it's a book that's worth it. It's worth it to do that. That was the last book. So when we talk about books of the week, Batman 89 is right up there. I'm going to skip past a lot. I would say Eve is right there, and Campisi and Ordinary Gods. Those are my favorite ones. Batman, Eve, Campisi, Ordinary Gods. The rest of them are pretty good. Not as good. Let me know down below. Which ones did you read? Which ones did you like? Are you reading any that I'm not? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Can you answer any of the questions I had about any of the books? Because I'd love to know what you guys have to say. While you're down there, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, and ding, ding, ding that bell notification for future videos. As Big Herm would say, I appreciate it. Check out the links below for additional content from the PCP Army Bad Batch. Really appreciate it. If you're watching this on Saturday, happy Free Comic Book Day. Go out there, support your local business. Go out, get some free books, see what kind of sales they got going on, because usually there's a lot of cool stuff happening. So make sure you do that. I hope you are. We'll see you in the comments.